playing for a few years, somebody maybe a veteran. So same way, in bhakti, seniority is actually determined in few ways. One way of actually understanding who is a senior devotee, it depends on the age. Somebody who is older, they are considered senior devotees. Another consideration is how deeply realized the person is in bhakti. Based on that consideration. Prahlad Maharaj was only 5 years old. How mature a person is. How surrendered a person is. So, depending on these criterion, you can actually understand who is a senior devotee. You will come across a classification in other ways also. Like, as I said, there is something called Kanishta, Madhyama and Uttama. Kanishta means somebody in beginning level. Madhyama means in intermediary level. And Uttama means somebody at the topmost level. So here similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is classifying devotees in 32 different ways. Understanding this is very easy. On a very high level, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, those who follow Vaidhi Marga and those who follow Raganuga Marga. Vaidhi Marga means those who, as the name says, Vaidhi, Vidhi, rules and regulations. Those who are new to the process of Krishna consciousness, we follow rules, regulations strictly. But if you come across pure devotees like Gopis, Hanumanji, it's not like they don't follow rules, but they don't need rules to perform bhakti. For us, because there is a rule, chant 16 rounds, we are chanting. Otherwise, 100% I won't chant. I'm pretty sure most are in my category. So, rules means just like, imagine if your boss, one day he says, you can work if you like to, otherwise you don't even have to work. You don't have to come to office. Do you think, everyone will exploit the system? Clearly. So same way in bhakti, initially when we start to practice, as long as we are in this world, we have to practice Vaidhi Marga. Okay, Vaidhi Bhakti. So based on rules and regulations, wake up at certain time in the morning, chant 16 rounds, follow 4 regulative principles, maintain cleanliness, serve the devotees, show some jivadoya, show some mercy to the other devotees, other new people, to bring them to Krishna consciousness, so on and so forth. So this is Vaidhi Marga. In contrast to Vaidhi Marg, you have another type of bhakti, it's called Raga Anuga Marg. Raga Anuga. There are Nitya Siddha devotees like Yashoda Maya, Arjuna, Sridham, Stoka Krishna, Subal, Madhumangal, you will come across Gopas, Gopis. They are all eternally serving Krishna. They are all Nitya Siddhas. In many instances, they are just expansions of Krishna. Also, you will see. Or Krishna's energy. Lakshmijis, all the Gopis are like that. There is Nitya Siddha Gopis. But there are living entities like us also who elevate themselves to go to that position of Gopi. So, in any case, in order to go to this position of Raganuga Bhakti, which is considered to be higher than Vaidhi Bhakti, one should follow these, one of the residents of spiritual world, who are called Raga Atmika Bhaktas. Those who are eternally situated in that position, they are all called Raga Atmika Bhaktas, like Tulsi Maharani, Prabhupada. Prabhupada comes to this world to reclaim us. We came to this world because we had no other choice, Our karma brought us back again. But spiritual master comes down to reclaim us back to the spiritual world. That's the purpose why Prabhupada is here. Once one disciple asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, is it true that the spiritual master will keep on appearing until the disciple gets liberated? Prabhupada says, yes, don't force me to come. So, it's an eternal relationship. So Ragatmika Bhaktas means these eternal devotees of Krishna, those who follow them. That's why it's called Raga Anuga. Those who follow these Ragatmika Bhaktas, they are called Raganuga Bhaktas. So Raganuga Bhakti is higher. It's in a more elevated state because you don't need rules anymore to practice bhakti. But we are not in that level, we will never be in that level. As long as we are in this material world, we are going to practice Vaidhi Bhakti only. But when we attain perfection, when we go to spiritual world, at that time we will practice spontaneously, Raganuga Bhakti. So these are two broad categories. Now under these two broad categories, if you take Vaidhi Marga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will categorize that into 4 different types. Parishada, Sadhana Siddha, Jatarati, Ajatarati. We'll come to that shortly. And then under each one of those, under Parishada, Parishada means personal associates. So under personal associates also there are 4 rasas that come into picture. Dasya, Sakya, then you have Vatsalya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu uses the term Guru here, meaning superior, and Madhurya, as it's generally called. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here refers to that as Kanta. Kanta means one who is in Madhurya Bhav. So in this way, there are 16 categories under Vaidhi Bhakti itself. So Vaidhi Bhakti, under Vaidhi Bhakti you have these 4, Parishada, Sadhana Siddha. Sadhana Siddha means those who attain perfection by practicing sadhana. So even under, this is also another categorization that's given. There are 3 types of devotees that's given, or 3 types of devotees who attained perfection. Sadhana Siddha, Kripa Siddha, Nitya Siddha. Nitya Siddhas are Ragatmika Bhaktas, as we said. Arjuna, he is always there with Krishna, he never falls down. He is always there. So they are all called Nitya Siddhas. Yashoda Maya, she is always there. They never fall down. So they are all called Nitya Siddhas. Nitya means eternal, Siddhas means perfectionists. So eternally they are perfect devotees. So that's Nitya Siddha. Sadhana Siddha means those who goes back to the spiritual world by means of spiritual practice. Shastras give example of Narada Muni. If you remember Narada Muni's pastime, in previous life his mother dies, he is barely 5 years old, and he starts to walk all over the globe, going to different forests, simply drinking fresh water in the woods. He would sit in meditation, meditating on the Supreme Lord. He would just subsist on fruits and roots that is easily available in the forest. In this way, he spent his entire life. And at the end, he attained perfection. Okay, so he is a classical example of sadhana siddha. Somebody who practiced bhakti, who out of their own personal devotional practice attained perfection. So they are called sadhana siddhas. Then jatarati, ajatarati, immature, mature. Mature stage of bhakti, immature stage of bhakti. So these are like 4 different types under Vaidhi, under somebody who is practicing rules and regulations. But then each one of these 4 one can practice. If you take Parishada, who are personal associates of the Lord, that personal associates can be in one of the other 4 rasas. They can be servant, dasya, saka, can be friends, vatsalya or guru in parental relationship, as well as kanta or madhurya relationship. So 4 rasas. Likewise, you go to the next one, another 4 types, which is sadhana siddha, 4 types, jatarati, 4 types, ajatarati, 4 types. So in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains 16 types under Vaidhi, same 16 comes under Raganuga also. So these are the 32 different explanations Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives for this Atmarama verse, especially when it comes to describing devotees who are self-realized, who are self-satisfied, despite being in any one of these different categories, there is one common thread that binds all of them, which is everyone is attracted to Krishna. If you take a servant is also attracted to Krishna. If you take even Krishna's flute is getting attracted to Krishna, and Krishna's flute is thinking, why are people going away? I'm so close to the lips. You should be close to me. See how you should be close to Krishna, like how I am to Krishna. Likewise, everything, be it cows will also go near Krishna, Prabhupada says, cows will just lick Krishna. Krishna would hug them. Likewise, everyone, parental relationship, you see Yasoda Maharani, or somebody who is in Sakya Bhav or friendship. So you will see pastimes there. So each one of them, they are attracted to Krishna in different ways. So the common element, the common thread that binds all these 32 different categories is they are attracted to Krishna. So that's the purpose of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu elaborating on this particular verse in 61 different ways. So this is Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, Madhya Lila chapter 24, text 284. There is yet another meaning which is full of variety of imports. Actually, there are 2 gross meanings and 32 subtle meanings. Gross meanings here refers to Vaidhi Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti. 32 are what we saw now under each one of them. The word Atma refers to all different expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One of them is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, Krishna, and the others are different incarnations or expansions of Krishna. One who always engages in the service of the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called Atmarama. There are 2 types of Atmaramas. One is an Atmarama engaged in regulative devotional service. So that is Vaidhi Bhakti. And the other is an Atmarama engaged in spontaneous devotional service. So that's Raga Bhakta. Both the Atmaramas engage in regulative devotional service, and those engaged in spontaneous devotional service are further categorized into 4 groups. They are eternal associates, associates who have become perfect by devotional service, and those who are practicing devotional service and are called sadhakas, of whom there are 2 varieties. So in this way, Duivida Bhakti Hoya Chari Chari Prakara Parishada Sadhana Siddha Sadhaka Ganahara. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going for each of those subcategories. Jata Jata Rati Bede Sadhaka Dui Beda Vidhi Raga Marge Chari Chari Ashta Beda. By executing regulative devotional service, one is elevated to the platform of an eternal perfect associate such as servant, friend, superior or beloved woman. Each of these is of 4 varieties. Among those who have perfected themselves by devotional service, there are servants, friends, superiors and beloved damsels. So whenever we come across this term Krishna Prema, it doesn't refer to only those who are in Madhurya Rasa. It refers to everyone who belong to any one of the 4 categories, which is Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. So one can be in any one of these 4 categories. And everyone is considered to have attained pure Krishna Bhakti. On the path of spontaneous devotional service, there are also 16 categories of devotees. Thus, there are 32 types of Atmaramas enjoying the Supreme Lord on these 2 paths. Text 295. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after having given 58 explanations, he will wrap up by giving the final 3 explanations. In this way, as I add the word cha to one word after another, I make a compound. Thus, the different names of Atmaramas can be taken 58 times. In this way, one can repeat the word Atmarama with cha for each of the 58 meanings. By following the rule previously stated and rejecting all but the last, we retain that which represents all meanings. Of words having the same form and case termination, the last one is the only one retained. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continues. Then taking the word, this is 302, then taking the word Nirgranta and considering api in the sense of sustenance, I have tried to explain a 59th meaning of the verse. Taking all the words together, there is another meaning. Whether one is an Atmarama, a great sage, or a Nirgranta, everyone must engage in the service of the Lord. The word api is then used in the sense of ascertainment, and then the word eva can be uttered 4 times with 4 words. The words urukrama, bhakti, ahaituki, kurvanti are added to the word eva again and again. Thus, another meaning is explained. Now I have given 60 different meanings of the verse, and yet there is another meaning which is also very strongly evident. The word Atma also refers to the living entity who knows about his body. That is another symptom. From Lord Brahma down to significant ant, everyone is counted as the marginal potency of the Lord. The potency of Lord Vishnu is summarized in 3 categories, namely spiritual potency, the living entities, and ignorance. The spiritual potency is full of knowledge. The living entities, although belonging to the spiritual potency, are subjected to bewilderment, and the third energy, which is full of ignorance, is always visible in fruitive activities. The word Kshetrajna refers to the living entity, the enjoyer, the chief, and material nature. The living entities are wandering in different species of life on different planets, but if they by chance, so this is the Brahmande Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva. Similar. Brahmite Brahmite Yadi Sadhu Sangapaya Sabatyaji Tabe Tinho Krishnera Bhajaya. So, living entity, they are taking births in one of the 8.4 million species, and as they wander through each one of the 14 different planetary systems in any one of these different forms, if they are fortunate, they will come in contact with the devotee, especially one's spiritual master. And the spiritual master would then initiate they will, or he or she will sow the seed of Krishna Bhakti in the heart of the prospective disciple. And by taking up this process of chanting, one elevates oneself to go back to the spiritual world. I have thus explained 60 different meanings, and all of them aim at the service of Lord Krishna. After giving so many examples, that is the only meaning. Now, due to your association, another meaning has awakened. It is due to your devotional service that these waves of meaning are arising. Aham vedmi shuko veti vyaso vetina vetiva bhaktiya bhagavatam grahyam na buddhaya na chatikaya. This is a verse that's spoken by Lord Shiva. Aham vedmi shuko veti vyaso vetina vetiva, which means Lord Shiva is saying, I know Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami knows Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva may or may not know, which is interesting. Because we think Vyasadeva is the one who wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. But actually, Srimad Bhagavatam has been there since time immemorial. If you read Bhagavata Mahatmya, you will see Srimad Bhagavatam is recited by even Vishnu. And then Lakshmiji will hear for a month. And Lakshmiji will then repeat whatever she heard back for 2 months. And it's given why it takes 2 months for Lakshmiji and why it takes only 1 month for Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, as he is reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, he is still concerned for his devotees. What is happening? Which demon actually disturbed my devotee? Everything. So he quickly finishes. I remember one devotee came for the class, and I told him, it was the first time he was giving class. So then he asked, Prabhu, any tips? I said, it's always maybe a good practice initially when you give class, if you make notes. Then he came prepared for the notes, with the notes, and he started giving class. And then he finished the class soon. He asked, how long should the class go? I said, 45 minutes. He finished the class in 20. Then after finishing the class, he bowed down, and he came to me and he asked, how is the class? I said, yeah, it was good. And then he revealed, sorry Prabhu, I actually prepared for 45 minutes. And I have the notes also here. But in tension, I ended up reading them fast. I finished all of them faster. So you can understand, Vishnu, he is concerned for his devotees, so quickly he finishes it. Whereas Lakshmiji, it's mentioned, Lakshmiji has no problem massaging Vishnu's lotus feet. She relishes the meaning and she happily recites for twice the time it's given. Likewise, there is Bhagavatam recitation between Shiva and Parvati. In fact, in one such instance, Shukadeva Goswami actually hears. So once Shiva, he starts to recite Srimad Bhagavatam to Mother Parvati with the condition that Lord Shiva know all too well about what we do. When Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is recited, we sleep. So Lord Shiva told Mother Parvati, you have to keep humming, making the sound as I recite, so I know you are awake. Otherwise, it's very easy to fall asleep. So don't worry, falling asleep is coming from our mom, material mom. So it's there. So then Shiva was reciting. So then Mother Parvati was actually saying, but Shiva goes into ecstasy, reciting. Because the reason why Shiva says this is a very confidential knowledge, I don't want anyone else to hear. Only you should hear. But if I go into ecstasy, I would be away from my external consciousness. I don't even know whether who else is hearing. So you keep making the sound, so I will I'll be awakening. I'll be awakened. Even if I go to ecstasy, I can be like, okay, I have to come back to external consciousness this way. So Shiva went, recited from verse 1 all the way till the end of Srimad Bhagavatam, Nama Sankirtanam Yasya, Sarva Papa Pranashanam, Pranama Dukkha Samanas, Tam Namami Harim Param. Simply by taking shelter of the holy name of the Supreme Lord and offering obeisances to that Lord, that would eradicate whatever sins one has accumulated. To that Lord I offer my obeisances. So that's how it finishes. So then he finishes this and then he opens, and much to his shock he sees Mother Parvati completely dozed off. But he's still hearing the sound, like that. And then Lord Shiva says, parrots, when you teach something, they'll keep repeating the same thing. So there is one parrot there, that's Shukadeva Goswami. You're not hearing? So he first came and he saw what Mother Parvati is doing. He started to imitate. After some time, Mother Parvati stopped. He is continuing. This way he heard the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. So now Shiva gets upset. He picks up the trident and he chases. And then Shuka, the parrot, he flies, comes all the way to Badrikashram. Shiva is still chasing. This is happening in Himalaya, close to Badrikashram only. So then they come. And then Shukadeva Goswami, in the form of a parrot, he comes to Badrikashram, which is the ashram of Vyasadeva. And there he comes and takes the shelter of his wife's womb. So that's how he gets conceived. Very unusual way of conception. So that's how he gets conceived. So now Lord Shiva comes, he is not going to spare Shuka. He is like, I'm going to kill. And then Vyasadeva says like, wait. He has taken shelter in the womb of my wife. If you have to kill the parrot, you have to kill my wife also, which is not good. And then Vyasadeva tells to Lord Shiva, look, you are a pure devotee. Simply by hearing the entire Bhagavatam from you, this parrot is already fully liberated. Even if you want to kill, you cannot kill. Then Shiva says, all right, and he goes. So that's where this verse comes from. Aham vedmi Shukoveti. I know Srimad Bhagavatam. Shukoveti. Shukadeva Goswami also knows. Vyaso vetina vetiva means Vyasadeva may or may not know. That's what it means. Now, last two lines are important. Bhaktya Bhagavatam Grahyam Na Buddhya Na Chatikaya. In order to understand the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhaktya Bhagavatam Grahyam. Only by bhakti can one understand Srimad Bhagavatam. Na Buddhaya Na Chatikaya means one cannot understand bhakti by one's own intelligence. If one thinks by intelligence I'll be able to control, by intelligence I'll be able to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, then Lord Shiva says, no, you missed the point. That's not how you acquire the knowledge. Knowledge is actually not attained, but it has to be given to us. It has to descend down from parampara, from higher authorities. So, Bhaktya Bhagavatam Grahyam Na Buddhaya Na Chatikaya. Na Buddhaya means not based on one's own endeavor, not based on one's own intelligence. Can one understand Bhagavatam? Na Chatikaya. Tikaya is not by studying different commentaries. Can one understand Srimad Bhagavatam either? Only way to understand Bhagavatam is by doing devotional service. After hearing all the explanations, all different meanings of the Atmaram verse, Sanatana Goswami was struck with wonder. He fell down at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and began to offer prayers. Sanatana Goswami said, my dear Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nanda. All the Vedic literatures are vibrated through your breathing. My dear Lord, you are the original speaker of the Bhagavatam. You therefore know its real import. But for you, no one can understand the confidential meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, why are you glorifying me personally? You should understand the transcendental position of Srimad Bhagavatam. Why don't you consider this important point? Srimad Bhagavatam is as great as Krishna, the Supreme Lord, and shelter of everything. In each and every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam and in each and every syllable, there are various meanings. The form of Srimad Bhagavatam is given in question and answer. Prashna Uttare. In the form of question and answer. Prashna is questions, Uttare. In the form of questions and answers. The form of Srimad Bhagavatam is given in question and answers. Thus, the conclusion is established. By hearing these questions and answers, one is highly astonished. Now that Sri Krishna, the absolute truth, the master of all mystic powers, has departed for his own abode, please tell us by whom religious principles are personally protected. So this is one of the 6 questions that are raised by the sages in the very first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna Swadama Pagate Dharma Jnanadibi Saha Kalau Nashta Drishamesha Puranarko Dinoditaha. After Lord Krishna departed for his abode, along with religious principles and transcendental knowledge, this Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, has arisen like the sun in this age of Kali to enlighten those who have no spiritual vision. In this way, like a madman, I have explained the meaning of just one verse. I do not know who will take this as evidence. If one becomes a madman like me, he may also understand the meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam by this process. Folding his hands, Sanatana Goswami said, "My Lord, you ordered me to write a directory about the activities of Vaishnavas." So after hearing the 61 explanations, of Atmarama verse, Sanatana Goswami is requesting the Lord. If you remember, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, before he started to give his purports on the different meanings of Atmarama verse, he had given some instructions to Sanatana Goswami, which is to go to Vrindavan, excavate a place of worship, depicting the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, glorify the Supreme Lord, and write, elaborate Vaishnava Smriti, the guideline to practice Krishna consciousness for all time to come. So now Sanatana Goswami is reminding Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for folding his hands, Sanatana Goswami said, "My Lord, you ordered me to write a directory. Vaishnavas Puna Sanatana kahe yudi dui kare Prabhu agya dila Vaishnava smriti kari bare." Folding his hands, Sanatana Goswami said, "My Lord, you ordered me to write a directory about the activities of Vaishnavas. I am a most low-born, I have no knowledge of good behavior. How is it possible for me to write authorized directions about Vaishnava activities?" So here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking Sanatana Goswami to write a manual about Vaishnava etiquette, achar, how Vaishnavas are supposed to behave in devotional life. So now Sanatana Goswami is requesting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to guide him. Sanatana Goswami then requested the Lord, "Please personally tell me how I can write this difficult book about Vaishnava behavior. Please manifest yourself in my heart. If you would please manifest yourself within my heart and personally direct me in writing this book, then although I am low-born, I may hope to be able to write it. You can do this because you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead yourself, and whatever you direct is perfect." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "Whatever you want to do will be able to do correctly by Lord Krishna's favor. He will manifest the real purport. Because you asked me for a synopsis, please hear few indications. In the beginning, describe how one must take shelter of Bonafide spiritual master." Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will list more than 50 different topics now. Each one of these topics are important. Please hear carefully. Tatapi ye sutrera shuna digdarshana shakarana liki adau guru ashrayana. Because you asked me for a synopsis, please hear these few indications. In the beginning, describe how one must take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Guru lakshana, sishya lakshana, donhara parikshana, sevya bhagavan sarva, mantra vicharana. Your book should also describe the characteristics of bona fide guru and bona fide disciple. One should know who is a bona fide guru. If you read Science of Self-Realization, one reporter is asking in one of the interviews, "Swamiji, how can we understand who is a bona fide guru?" Then Prabhupada says, one who is most addicted to Krishna and serving him, he is the bona fide guru. Then the reporter asks Prabhupada, Prabhupada, how can we understand who is a bad guru? Then Prabhupada looks at him and laughs. There's nothing called as bad guru. Guru means good guru. Like that Prabhupada says. So here Guru Lakshana. In order to be able to understand who is a guru, one need to know the qualification of the guru. Likewise, Sishya Lakshana also. In order for one to prepare oneself to become a proper disciple, there are rules and regulations. Then before accepting a spiritual master, one can be assured of the spiritual master's position. Similarly, the spiritual master can also be assured of the disciple's position. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, should be described as the worshipable object, and you should describe the Bija Mantra for worship of Krishna as well as that for Rama or any other expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there are detailed descriptions for each one of them. Even to make deities, what stone it is supposed to be made with. You will see Lord Hayagriva giving all those instructions actually to Lord Brahma. Okay, what should be the color of the stone? In what form a particular expansion of the Lord should be manifest? There are different descriptions. If you read Puranas, Agni Puran, it gives more details on that. So here, this section is very interesting. You can read the purports. Prabhupada actually gives detailed descriptions on each one of these items. You should discuss the qualifications necessary for receiving a mantra, the perfection of the mantra, the purification of mantra, initiation, morning duties, remembrance of the Supreme Lord, cleanliness and washing the mouth and other parts of the body, mantra adhikari mantra, siddhi adi shodhana, diksha prata smriti kritya saucha achamana. So each one of these one should know. Prabhupada quotes in detail about each one of these from Hari Bhakti Vilas. You should describe how in the morning one should regularly brush his teeth, take his bath. See, they are all Vaishnava Achar, cutting nails, brush his teeth, take his bath, offer prayers to the Lord and offer obeisances to the spiritual master. You should also describe how one should render service to the spiritual master and paint one's body in 12 places with Urdhva Pundra, Tilaka. So we mark the body in 12 places with Tilaka and mantras. As well as how one should stamp one's body with the holy names of the Lord or the symbols of the Lord, such as the disc and club. After this, you should describe how one should decorate his body with gopi chandan, wear neck beads, collect tulsi leaves from the tulsi tree. There is a way, there's a mantra to be recited when you pluck the leaves. Certain days, you cannot actually pluck the leaves, like Ekadashi, we don't do, because Tulsi Maharani also does Ekadashi fasting. So we don't disturb Tulsi Maharani on that day. So there are specific rules and regulations for that. Collect tulsi leaves from tulsi tree, cleanse his cloth on the altar, cleanse his own house or apartment, and go to the temple and ring the bell just to draw the attention of Lord Krishna. We don't have bell here. Post renovation we will have. For now we don't have. But even before coming, you might have seen some devotees, they gently tap on the door. So you knock. Because king and queen, they are here. Radha Gopinath, Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan Ki Jai. So you take permission. My Lord, can I come in? So, cleanse his own house or apartment and go to the temple and ring the bell just to draw the attention of Lord Krishna. Also, describe deity worship wherein one should offer food to Krishna at least 5 times daily. So, in our temple we do 7 times as established by Srila Prabhupada. And in due time, place him on a bed. You should also describe the process of offering arati and the worship of the Lord according to the list of 5, 16 or 50 ingredients. Pancha Shodasha, Panchashat Upacharya Archana. So we do Shodasha Archana, Sodasha Upachara. 16 items we do during the Archana process every day. Also describe deity worship wherein one should offer food to Krishna at least 5 times daily and in due time place him on a bed. You should also describe the process for offering arati and the worship of the Lord according to the list of 5, 16 or 50 ingredients. So here Prabhupada gives in the purport, the 5 ingredients for deity worship are very good scents, which is fragrant, agarbatti, very good flowers, incense, actually scents here refers to oil, a lamp, something edible. As far as Sodashopachara, the 16, see, scents here also refers to, you have Deepa, then you have, first you actually offer the incense, then you have the lamp, then you have each one of those items you see in the arati, each one of them. incense, lamp, something edible. As far as Sodashopachara, the 16 ingredients, one should provide a sitting place, asana, ask Krishna to sit down, offer argya. So each one of this, achaman, we think only we do. Krishna does that. Before taking prasad, before taking bhoga, Krishna washes his hands. Krishna, etat padyam, idam achamaniyam, idam argyam, we say that. Before Krishna eats. After Krishna eats, he washes his mouth also. Krishna washes his feet. So Krishna is Suchi, always. Krishna doesn't have to do any of this. But accepting the rules which generally devotees follow, in Vaidhi Marga, Krishna accepts all of that. This is the process that's actually given in the Shastras. But Krishna doesn't follow the rule. Even on Ekadashi, he takes full grain feast. So Krishna doesn't follow anything. Provide a sitting place, asana, ask Krishna to sit down, which is we always ask Krishna to sit down. Each one of those we offer with certain mudras. This is asana mudra, it's called. Idam asanam, we say like that. Likewise, etat padyam, idam achamaniyam, idam naivedyam, idam paniyam. So please accept my Lord. And then this is called Grasa Mudra. This is like encouraging Supreme Lord. My Lord, please, requesting, please eat. So you will see each one of that. If we don't understand what we are doing, then it will look like ritual. But actually it's not ritual. Even if you have your friend, you will say like, yeah, take. You will give a pat on the back, right? Like that, you are encouraging Supreme Lord. My Lord, please. Requesting, but at the same time, positively requesting. My Lord, please. That's what it means. So each one of the offering, it is actually done with mantras as well as with mudras. Often argya, often offer water to wash the legs, wash the mouth, offer madhuparka. Madhuparka is a mix of yogurt, honey. So Krishna takes that, offer water for washing the mouth, bathe the Lord, offer garments, decorate the Lord's body with ornaments, offer sweet scents, offer flowers with good fragrance like rose or champaka, offer incense, offer a lamp, give good food, and offer prayers. So these are the different items. And then Prabhupada goes into beautiful, elaborate detail. I'll read this. It's very interesting. When the Lord is established, worship with all 64 items should continue as far as possible. This is on deity worship. The 64 items are as follows. There must be a big bell hanging in front of the temple room so that whoever comes into the room can ring the bell. This item is called prabodhana, or offering oneself submissively to the Lord. This is the first item. The visitor must chant Jai Radha Govinda, Jai Radha Madhav, Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopinath when he rings the bell. So you'll see pujaris, when they step into the altar, you will hear bell sometime. If you sit here long enough, you will hear the bell. You might have heard that. So we follow that before going to the altar. Put the right foot forward, and then as you go, you proclaim the glories of the Supreme Lord. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. One should immediately offer obeisances to the Lord, falling down like a stick. There must be regular Mangalarati in the temple during early morning, and an hour and a half before the sun rises. There must be an asana or sitting place before the altar. This asana is for the spiritual master. The disciple brings everything before the spiritual master, and spiritual master offers everything to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After Mangalarati, the deity is supposed to wash his teeth by using a twig. Therefore, a twig must be offered. Supreme Lord is a person. So, twig is offered. Water must be offered for washing the deity's feet. Argya should be offered. Water for achamana should be offered. Madhuparka, small bowl containing madhu, honey, little ghee, water, sugar, yogurt, milk should be offered. This is called Madhuparka achamana. One should place wooden slippers before the Lord. One should massage the body of the Lord. One should massage the body of the Lord with oil. With a soft, wet sponge, one should remove all the oil smeared over the Lord's body. All of this, you will get a glimpse during the Abhisheka when we do it in public. But all this process we follow every single day as part of our Archana process. Then one should bathe him with yogurt, one should bathe him with ghee, one should bathe him with honey, then one should bathe him with water in which sugar has been dissolved. Then one should wash the deity with water and chant the mantra. Chintamani prakara sadma shukalpa vriksha. If you do japa in the morning, you can hear, especially Jagannath pujaris, because they do outside, Archana pujaris do inside. So you can hear bell ringing, and you will see Chintamani prakara sadma shukalpa vriksha laksha vriteshu surabhira vipalayantam lakshmi sahasra satasham brahma sevyamanam Govindamati Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. One should dry the entire body of the Lord with a towel. New garments should be put on the Lord's body. A sacred thread should be placed on his body. So Supreme Lord also wears Upavita. Water should be offered for cleansing his mouth, which is Achamana. Nicely scented oils like liquid sandalwood pulp should be smeared over the Lord's body. All kinds of ornaments and crowns should be placed on his body. Then one should offer flower garlands and decorative flowers. One should burn incense. Lamps should be offered. Precautions should always be taken so that demons and atheists cannot harm the body of the Lord. Food offerings should be placed before the Lord. Spices for chewing should be offered. Betel nuts must be offered. It's called tambula. That's the final offering we do before the Lord goes to rest. At proper time there should be arrangements so that Lord may rest in bed. The Lord's hair should be combed and decorated. First class garments should be offered. A first class helmet should be offered. The garments should be scented. There should be kaustuba jewels and other ornaments offered. Kaustuba jewel, which Krishna is actually wearing. This is a jewel that is in the form of a calf, shaped like a calf. It's a precious stone. Another Mangalarati should be offered. A mirror should be offered. The Lord should be carried on a nice palanquin to the altar. The Lord should be seated on the throne. Again, water should be given for washing of his feet. Something again should be offered for eating. Evening Arati should be offered. Supreme Lord, you can keep on offering unlimited. He will happily honor. He will happily eat all of them. The Lord should be fanned with chamara fan, and an umbrella should be placed over his head. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra and approved songs should be sung. Musical instruments should be played. One should dance before the deity. One should circumambulate the deity. Post renovation will be able to. Till then, if you want to circumambulate, you stand in one place and you turn around 3 times. That is same as circumambulating the Lord. One should again offer obeisances. One should offer different types of prayers and hymns at the Lord's lotus feet. One should touch the lotus feet of the Lord with one's head. This may not be possible for everyone, but at least the pujari should do this. Now, in order to facilitate everyone to be able to do that, that's why we have what we call the Shatari. Not what we call, that's the term, Vedic term. So there was a king. His name was Shatari. He was a very compassionate Vaishnava king, and he was thinking, how can I benefit all my prajas? They are all like my children. Only those who are qualified, they are able to do seva for the Supreme Lord. Those who are qualified in Brahminical order. So then he spoke to the priests and he came up with the arrangement wherein he said, you offer this paduka to the lotus feet of the Lord, and then whoever comes, you can touch their head with that paduka. So you will see Shatari. Because of COVID regulations, we are not touching it now. But it's actually, sometimes devotees think that as a crown. It's not a crown. At the top of that, you will see 2 padukas. So that is offered to Radha Gopinath. And then whoever comes, that is put on devotee's head. That is same as putting our head on the lotus feet of the Lord. So that's the arrangement. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. But pujaris, they are dealing with the Lord. They can do it. The flowers offered on the previous day should touch one's head. It's actually on the same day. Sorry, this is previous day. This is same day. Radharani's garland. The flowers should offered on the previous day should touch one's head. One should take the remnants of the Lord's food. One should sit before the Lord and think that he is massaging the Lord's legs. So we can do Manasa Seva. We may not be able to do directly all the time, but we can sit and meditate. So that's what it's given, one of the items. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying one should sit before the Lord and think that he is massaging the Lord's legs. One should decorate the Lord's bed with flowers before the Lord takes his rest. One should offer one's hand to the Lord. One should take the deity to his bed. One should wash the feet of the Lord and then sit him on the bed. One should place the Lord on the bed and then massage his feet. So, deity seva is always very beautiful, very engaging. You go in, you will forget time. And if you go in, you will forget everything that's actually happening in the outside world, and you can continue. Keep on doing the seva. Each one of these, as you can see, very detailed. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives instructions and wonderfully documented by Sanatana Goswami in Hari Bhakti Vilas. The characteristics of the deities should be discussed, as well as the characteristics of the Shaligram Shila. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specifically saying, you should also discuss visiting the deities in the temple and touring holy places like Vrindavan, Mathura and Dwaraka. You should glorify the holy name and explain that one must carefully give up offenses when chanting the holy name. You should also describe the symptoms of a Vaishnava and explain that one must give up or nullify all kinds of seva parad, offenses in deity worship. There are 32 offenses. Prabhupada writes that in Nectar of Devotion, you will see. So here also Prabhupada lists those 32 offenses in deity worship. One should not enter the temple in a vehicle. Shoes and slippers should be removed before entering the temple. One should offer obeisances as soon as he sees the deity. One should enter the temple after taking a bath, so on and so forth. So you can read. It's in Caitanya Caritamrta, Madhya Lila chapter 24, text 336. Or the same list is actually given in the Nectar of Devotion as well. 337. The items of worship such as water, conch shell, flowers, incense and lamp should be described. So there are specifics in each one. Even Tulasi Maharani, there are specific instructions that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives to Sanatana Goswami when it comes to worshipping even Giriraj Shila, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. So there Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says there should be 2 leaves and the Tulasi Manjari also should be there and they should be soft. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says a specific number also how much should be offered. So nothing is whimsical and nothing is made up. Everything is very, very precise. So one should not concoct and one should follow this. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is continuing. The items of worship such as water, conch shell, flowers, incense and lamp should be described. What kind of incense, what kind of conch, everything. You should also mention chanting softly, offering prayers, circumambulating and offering obeisances. All these should be carefully described. Other items you should describe are the method of performing Purasharchana, taking Krishna Prasadam, giving up unoffered food and not blaspheming the Lord's devotees. You should describe the symptoms of a devotee, how to associate with the devotees, how to satisfy a devotee by rendering service and how to give up the association of non-devotees. You should also explain the value of regularly hearing the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam. You should describe the ritualistic duties to be performed every day, and you should also describe the fortnightly duties, especially how to observe fortnightly Ekadashi fast. You should also describe the duties to be observed every month, and you should especially describe the observance of ceremonies like Janmashtami, Ram Navami, and Narsimha Chaturtasi. Ekadashi, Janmashtami, Vamana Dwadasi, Ram Navami, and Narsimha Chaturtasi. All these should be described. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specifically giving the list. Ekadashi, Janmashtami, Vamana Dwadasi, Sri Rama Navami Ara, Narsimha Chaturdasi. You should recommend the avoidance of mixed Ekadashi and performance of pure Ekadashi. You should also describe the fault in not observing Ekadashi. One should be very careful as far as these items are concerned. If one is not careful, one will be negligent in executing devotional service. Whatever you say about Vaishnava behavior, the establishment of Vaishnava temples and deities, and everything else should be supported by evidence from Puranas. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking Sanatana Goswami to describe all these items, quoting enough references from each of the different Puranas. As I said, if you read Agni Puran, Padma Puran, there will be detailed descriptions about all of this. You should give general and specific descriptions of the behavior and activities of a Vaishnava. You should outline things that are to be done and things that are not to be done. All this should be described as regulations and etiquette. I have thus given a synopsis of the Vaishnava regulative principles. I have given this in brief just to give you a little direction. When you write on this subject, Krishna will help you by spiritually awakening you. Thus I have narrated Lord Chaitanya's mercy upon Sanatana Goswami. When one hears these topics, one's heart will be cleansed of all contamination. Hari Bol. The authorized poet Kavi Karnapura has written a book named Caitanya Candrodaya Nataka. This Caitanya Candrodaya Nataka, this book tells how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu blessed Sanatana Goswami with this specific mercy. As soon as Sanatana Goswami arrived in front of Lord Chaitanya, the Lord, seeing him, became merciful to him. The Lord, who has the complexion of a golden champaka flower, opened his arms and embraced him while expressing great affection. In the course of time, the transcendental news of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavana was almost lost. To enunciate explicitly those transcendental pastimes, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu empowered Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami with the nectar of his mercy to carry out this work in Vrindavana. I have thus explained the mercy bestowed on Sanatana Goswami by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If one hears this description, all moroseness in the heart will diminish. Haribol. Sometimes you feel very sad for no reason. Morose. All the moroseness in the heart will diminish. By reading these instructions to Sanatana Goswami, one will become fully aware of Lord Krishna's various expansions and the process of devotional service according to regulative principles and spontaneous love. Thus, everything can be fully known. By reading these instructions, Falastuti itself is going 4-5 different verses. He keeps on adding more and more benediction. By reading these instructions, a pure devotee can understand love of Krishna, the mellows of devotional service, and the conclusion of devotional service. Everyone can understand all these things to their ultimate end by studying these instructions. The conclusion of these instructions can be known to one whose life and soul is the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and Advaita Prabhu, Sri Rupa Raghunatha, Padayar Asha, Caitanya Caritamrta Kahe Krishna Dasa. Thus in the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Caritamrta, Madhya Lila, chapter 24, describing the Atmarama verse and the Lord's mercy upon Sanatana Goswami. Next class we will discuss about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu converting Prakashananda Saraswati and all his associates. And with that topic, and then you will see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going to Bindu Madhava temple, and then he's converting all the residents of Varanasi into devotees. So this is chapter 25. Tomorrow we won't have the class. We will continue from next Monday. Yes, Prabhuji. Can you switch off the fan? It's very cold. Whatever Prabhupada did, he did based on the instruction of his spiritual master. Even if you look at, like for Bhakti Shastri, specifically Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gives the syllabus for that. Bhagavad Gita full, Ishopanishad full, Nectar of Instruction full, but Nectar of Devotion, only the Eastern wave. So part of Bhakti Shastri course, it's not even full NOD. It's only part of NOD. In fact, 1/4 of NOD only. So, Caitanya Caritamrta, same way, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, between Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Mangala, and Caitanya Caritamrta is most important. In fact, he puts it above all the Vedic Shastras, including Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. If you have to pick one book, you know this pastime, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, if the whole world is flooded and you can save only so many books, just to pick up Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Caitanya Caritamrta. Go to the rooftop. If the water level is rising, now you have to let go of a few things. Now he says, let go of Bhagavad Gita. Hold on to Srimad Bhagavatam and CC, Caitanya Caritamrta. But if there comes a point where you have to let go one of those two, he says, let go of Srimad Bhagavatam in the waters. Don't worry. As long as you have Sri Chaitanya Caritamrta, nothing is lost. You can bring back everything. So, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says this. Now, the reason why Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur himself translated Chaitanya Caritamrta and recommended to Prabhupada to translate Chaitanya Caritamrta is Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Mangal, they discuss only pastimes, they don't discuss philosophy. If you read Chaitanya Bhagavata, Chaitanya Bhagavata, you will see story after story after story after story, very little philosophy. So, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, we should read our Siddhanta also. We need to know why we are practicing Bhakti. The philosophical conclusion has to be there. Shastrik Praman has to be there. That's what gives us, because we hear so many different versions of even Ramayana. The moment you see something is fishy in one version, doesn't sound right. You lose respect on it. So it loses its authority straight away. Same way you go to the next one, someone else will concoct a little bit more, you'll lose respect on that. So that's why Shastra Praman is very, very important. The proof, evidence has to be quoted. Here also you see, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking Sanatana Goswami to write Hari Bhakti Vilas, he is saying, all of this you should write, quoting enough Shastric references from Purana. So it has to be like that. So Caitanya Caritamrta, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he rated it higher than even Chaitanya Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Mangal, because it not only talks about pastime, but it also thoroughly establishes the supreme position of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Bhagavan Sri Krishna, not only through the words of the devotees, but also through Shastras, actually. There is a book called Srila Prabhupada's book of shlokas. Now you will see every single verse which Prabhupada quoted, be it in lectures, be it in purports, conversations, everything, Prabhupada simply followed Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. That is his style. Prabhupada, he is Kasturi Manjari. Prabhupada is simply following Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's style. Every single verse, for any context which you actually see, exact same verse which Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami would quote, so many times, sometimes the same verse again and again, Prabhupada would also follow the same style, quoting same verse over and over again. Many places. So if you think, where did that come from? Prabhupada takes it from Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami as a very sold out servant of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Now, coming to your question, in some places it is true that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he mentions, whoever wants to know this in detail, please read Chaitanya Bhagavata. Now if you see Chaitanya Bhagavata talks about Adi Leela, equivalent of Caitanya Caritamrta only. It talks about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime in Navadvip Dham, before he took sannyas. And little bit after he takes sannyas. It never talks anything beyond that. So all Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes in Navadvip Dham, Chaitanya Bhagavat says. So you will see this reference being mentioned by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, especially in Adi Leela. Because if you say Adi Leela, after you buy this set, you will think, wow, this is a book of pastimes. And you check the first chapter, glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, glories of Nityananda Prabhu, glories of Advaita, glories of Gadadhar Pandit. And then the tree associates. You will think, where are the pastimes starting? Pastimes will start after 3/4 of Adi Leela finish. That too, little reference will be given, not much. And every pastime which you hear, so many Vaishnavas, senior sannyasis, they narrate in detail, you will see the pastime written in 2 lines only. Is that it? That's it. In 2 chapters, he will squeeze Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first 24 years of pastimes. There he would say, these pastimes are already elaborated in detail in Chaitanya Bhagavat. Whoever interested to go, if I have to write it, my book will become voluminous. That's the reason why he chooses not to. It doesn't mean Caitanya Caritamrta is missing anything. Not in that sense, actually. So he refers it there because that work is already done in elaborate detail. But here he is writing specifically based on his guru, Raghunath Das Goswami. And Raghunath Das Goswami, he gets instruction because first Navadvip pastimes, there are many devotees who witnessed that. Murari Gupta, he wrote one. You will come across many devotees, after observing the pastimes, they actually wrote. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's later 24 years, especially last 18 years, pastime, very few devotees. Ramananda Roy, Raghunath Das Goswami, Swarup Damodar, that's it. Nobody else saw, because they are all confidential pastimes. So when Raghunath Das Goswami comes to Vrindavan, Rupa Goswami requests Raghunath Das Goswami that amongst all of us disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you are the only one who witnessed everything and you still carry the diary of Swarup Damodar. So you please remove this pain of separation we feel in the heart from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by reciting those pastimes. So he recites that in elaborate detail. And that's Madhya Lila, Nanti Lila. And many Vaishnavas who attended there, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also is one of the students. So that's why you will see him elaborating more on Madhya and Antya. Because Chaitanya Bhagavat doesn't touch on this at all. Chaitanya Bhagavat will talk about only pastimes, number one, that too only Navadvip, first 24 years only. So that's the reason why you will see here. Otherwise, the book size will actually go very big. And that's the reason Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami himself says that I want to focus on, obviously, Shastra Praman to establish. That's why you will see there are specific topics there, that is there. Establishing position of Lord Nityananda. Now in order to, for us to understand about Nityananda, he will start from Adi Chaturvyuha. You will see the whole spiritual sky, he will elaborate everything. And after establishing everything, there is one, Krishna expands into Radharani, Balaram to Adi Chaturvyuha, then you have Narayana, who is coming from Sankarshan, then Dvitiya Chaturvyuha, then you have Maha Sankarshan, he expands, everything he'll elaborate. And then after he says everything, he will also elaborate about different spiritual worlds, Vaikuntha, everything. And after elaborating all of that, he would say, by the way, all of this comes from Nityananda Prabhu. That's how he will, otherwise nobody know who Nityananda Prabhu is. Finding reference for him is very difficult. Devotees won't understand. So then to establish his position, he will say all of this, and he will say all of this, by the way, coming from Nityananda Prabhu only. He is none other than Balaram. He'll establish like that. Okay, so each one of the, even same Advaita Acharya. Again, he'll elaborate on Purushavatars and tell who Advaita Acharya is. Likewise, you will see different associates he actually touches on. So he takes it upon himself to establish shastrically the position of each of these personalities. Chaitanya Bhagavat, it does actually talk. In fact, if you read Caitanya Caritamrta, you can easily understand Chaitanya Bhagavat and Mangal. I have read it. You will find it easy to understand. Because all philosophical basis you will find this one established in Caitanya Caritamrta. But without understanding that, when we read it, it will be difficult. Without knowing Krishna's Supreme Personality of Godhead, even if you watch Krishna in movie, you will just perform, you will just rather applaud the performance of the actor. That's pretty much what you can do. Nothing much you can do. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he wanted us to understand about position of each one of them. He wanted us to understand that they are all Supreme Personality of Godheads. And from the Shastras, so that's the purpose why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur rated Caitanya Caritamrta, Sri Caitanya Caritamrta higher than anything, in fact higher than any Shastra written by Vyasadeva. So this is the topmost. That's why Prabhupada said this is PhD. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai, Sri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki jai, Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Sri Gauranitai ki jai, Samaveda Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, devotees of Sri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki jai, devotees in Mayapur TV, YouTube and Facebook ki jai, jai Nittai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So we won't have Caitanya Caritamrta class tomorrow. We'll meet next Monday with the last chapter. Hare Krishna.